mine might look a little different and have a little different, spice to it, but everyone has their own stuff that they have to break through. And our kids will too, no matter how much we try to
No
not
matter how much
mess
you
them
want to be
up.
the perfect parent, they're always going to have something.
And I think it was my experience with, my childbirth experience with Knox. It was the trauma I went through. It was all of that caused me personally to have to reflect on what I really wanted. And I am so grateful for this awakening that's happening right now. I'm grateful for it in every way. I'm grateful that I can be in a space where I'm, once I've gained confidence and passion in something that I love, my first step after that is, how do I give this to someone else? Like, I want to help someone else have the same opportunities that I'm having. I want them to feel this passion. I want them to feel this confidence in their craft. How can I create that for them? And then I dedicate my purpose to that. It doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean I don't face, criticism. It doesn't mean we all will, no matter what we're doing, whether it's, I want to go back to work. I want to, one of my sister-in-laws recently decided, I know I said I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I've decided I don't. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to work. I want to start a business. And she did. And she's thriving. And, I really believe, like you brought up Knox being a good example to him. I ask myself often when I come to that place of like shadows, or am I making the right choices? Let me make sure I'm going inward. I always say, would I want Knox to live his life like that? Would I want him to live for me? Would I want him to surrender to his heart and like do what's best for him? Like, I release him from expectations. I release him from what I think is best for him. And we have to do that for ourselves so that our kids will do that for themselves. And I think that's the best way to be an example.
Yeah.
I wish so badly my parents could say to me, if I could have one wish, a genie in a bottle, really, because I love my parents. I love them with everything. I see them constantly. I love them. I'm so grateful for them, for what they've done for me. But if I had a genie in a bottle, I would wish that they could release me, that they could say, I release you from my expectations for your life. Follow your heart. Be all of you and change the world. Trying to put me in a box is only going to make it so I can't make the impact I was meant to make. And so we have to be really conscious of that with our children, because we have been programmed to not let children express, like, oh my gosh, stop crying, or that's enough. Your tantrum is, when really they're just trying to process their emotions. And by giving this space and this allowance for them to feel and help them understand what they're feeling, and then in return, not hold them to expectation of what we can change the world one kid at a time. And I really appreciate you saying that, because that is one thing as a mom that I'm like, my hustle is beautiful in a lot of ways. I always hashtag my beautiful hustle, whether I'm, like launching a course, doing a client, or with my son, because that's where it's beautiful. Like, I am so grateful for the opportunity I have to do it all.
Yes. I love this because it's like a perfect example of what it looks like to live a life of passion. Okay. And I think it's so important to talk about the difference between purpose and passion, because I think that, again, a lot of people get themselves trapped in the ideas, I need to find my purpose. I don't feel that we have separate purposes. I think the one purpose really is just to come back into the remembrance of who we are. We all share the same purpose. Now, your passion, living a life of understanding your purpose and passion. The passion is connected to where your joy is and where your heart is and what you truly love to do. Like, what lights you on fire? What lights you up?
Yes. And if you don't allow yourself to find that, so here's another thing, failure. You talked about failure. I failed 10,000 times to find out what I remember, I had a close person, very close to me, point out once that I was, what was the words, flaky and uncommitted, because of how often I was switching my jobs, because of how often I was like moving on to the next thing. And you know what? Like, okay, call me flaky and uncommitted. But when I landed, on what I loved, I went all in.
Yeah.
And if I would have stayed in a place where I wasn't feeling happy or I wasn't feeling complete or any type of passion, just because you're supposed to stay because you don't want to look flaky or uncommitted or have another job on your resume, then I would have gotten stuck. And you know what? A lot of the things I tried, I didn't end up doing. It's okay.
That's such a good reminder, because that's how my husband is. He's very he tries a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's got such big personality, big plans, all these things. But it's always like the past year has been like trying to figure out what he likes to do, what he does, what he doesn't. And because of the messages delivered, it's that I've been able to deliver, it's like they always talk about being heart-centered. Yes. What makes the most? What do you want to experience? What's your passions? And so when he's like, I just don't know if I really like this, I'm like, okay, well, hold it as much as you can. Like, give yourself time to experience it. But like, if it's not calling to you, then I don't want you to like waste your time away doing something that you hate, because that's not what we came here to do.
Yep.
It's like the past 18 months has looked a little bit rocky outside view for other people seeing our life, but it's what it needs to be.
Yes.
Because that's also helping him live his authentic truth.
Yes.
Instead of feeling like he can't do what he wants. And so even you saying like, once I found I jumped all in, we're kind of in that space right now.
And you too.
Yeah. And me too. Yeah. It's like so much is just like, once we can really be true to what we feel like we are passionate about.
And it's honestly not usually what we think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like if somebody would have told me.
Yes. Being totally honest with yourself is so important. And one of the things too is like when you are living this life, that energy and that example affects everyone around you, especially those who are closest to you. It's like they can't escape. They can't escape that. Like they'll start asking themselves, am I really doing what I love? What is my passion? What are my gifts? Am I truly sharing my gifts? Am I giving? Am I living that to the fullest? Am I going to see how far I can push my gifts? I mean, it really makes you question those things.
What's that quote? Like when you're being authentic, you unconsciously are allowing others to do the same. Like you're inviting them into their authenticity as well.
And I'll never forget, because my shaman, the one who trained me, she warned me, and I told you about that. And I said the same thing to you when you're training. I said, no, she was like, now Candace, does your husband realize that even though you're going through this shamanic training and you're shifting in your energy, your whole life is going to shift. Everything about your life is going to shift. It affects your husband in all of those different ways. Is he aware of how this is going to shift his life and his perspectives? I was like, I hadn't really thought about it. But it's just like with yours, it's like, how can someone be with you and not have that be the first thing that comes to their mind? Because when you live a life of passion and remembrance of who you are, then that inspires everybody else to do the same for themselves.